Donald Trump is being arrested and indicted. But is there a real legal case against him that couldn't be applied to his opponents? And also, is more time being spent on trying to bring down Donald Trump than assessing the problems that led to his rise? The theatre of global politics is focusing on vilification and distraction rather than addressing the problems that most people are feeling. And of course, we're talking about Donald Trump, who more than anybody else epitomises the challenge of modern politics. I know a lot of you love Donald Trump. You see him as the representative of your anger, of anti-establishment rhetoric, of possibility for meaningful change. My personal feeling is that during Trump's presidency, not enough changed to warrant his rise. That's something we can continue to talk about in the chat. I believe what's required is systemic change. This particular case, and we'll get into the logistics of it to a degree in a moment, because of course it's still sealed and no one really knows exactly what's going on, seems comparable at least to the Democrats' funding of the Steele dossier through legal funding, if not exactly the same. But isn't that what characterises our time? That the differences between the two parties, the differences between their misdemeanours and their felonies is not significant enough? And isn't Donald Trump, above all else, serving as a kind of distraction and focal point for Democratic ire, rather than an opportunity to meaningfully change the systems that led to his rise in the first place?
We are coming on the air with historic news. For the first time ever in American history, a former president of the United States has been indicted.
In a way, they are still committing the sins that they've always committed around Donald Trump, using hyperbole and excitement. Even from the position of condemning Trump, they celebrate Trump. It's quite likely, as many people have commented, that this case will increase Donald Trump's chances of success. You can only imagine that his detractors know that and understand it and are willing to do it anyway. I'm beginning to think that what Trump's primary function is in the media space is as a kind of magnet for attention in order that ordinary corruption and hypocrisy can continue. Whether these charges are legitimate or not, and whether or not this will amplify Trump's message and serve as a kind of martyrdom, is not what I'm primarily interested in. What I'm interested in, and I believe you should be most interested in, is why is Trump still occupying the same cultural space that he has been occupying ever since he first stood for election? He oddly represents anti-establishmentism. He represents the voice of many dispossessed and angry Americans. And even if you believe, like I do, that Trump isn't going to meaningfully address those problems, why are those problems not being addressed elsewhere?
First, the historic indictment, now the political fallout. President Biden deliberately avoiding the topic.
I'm not going to talk about Trump's indictment.
But Republicans tonight are slamming it as a Democratic DA trying to take out President Biden's top political opponent with a bogus legal case.
You already know that these legal charges are somewhat trumped up, that it's a misdemeanor that's being conflated with a felony, that there are comparable crimes, if indeed they are crimes, which I suppose we're saying that they are, that have been committed by the Democrat Party in the 2016 election, specifically using legal fees to fund the Steele dossier designed to discredit Trump, which was similarly a misuse of campaign funds. Although the indictment is still sealed, every indication is that this case is extremely flimsy on the merits and especially shabby given the historic import of the first ever indictment of a former president. Hush payments may be sleazy, but they're legal. The violation of the law in the Daniels payment may have been in how it was logged in the Trump Organization accounts. The payment was agreed to near the end of the 2016 campaign, and then Trump fixer Michael Cohen paid it with his own funds, and Trump reimbursed him across 2017. In the Trump Organization books, the payments were called legal expenses, suggesting they were for ongoing legal work. This was dishonest, but at most is a misdemeanor. The idea of going after a former president with all the political consequences involved on such a piddling charge was so self-evidently absurd that no minimally self-respecting prosecutor would do it. So it sounds like something illegal happened, but something that is a minor misdemeanor is not likely the genuine motivation for all of this furore. It seems that what's more likely the motivation is a desire to bring down Trump. And the desire to bring down Trump has remained consistent. Then there's the problem that the campaign finance offence would be a violation of federal and not state law, and such a crime has never been prosecuted in New York. There's also a question of whether the statute of limitations has expired on these supposed offences and on the credibility of the two-star witnesses, confessed fraudster Michael Cohen and a porn star, among other issues. Whatever else is true about this case, it's seems that it's not the kind of robust catch-all case that is required to bring down a figure like Trump without the accompanying risk that it turns him into a kind of political martyr. And also what I feel like morally and ethically is, you know and I know that the motivation behind all this is not, oh no, a law's been violated, we must do something about it. What's actually happening is Trump continues to be a threat to centralised authoritarian politics, so he's having to be taken out of the game. Whether you like Trump or don't like Trump, what you should be interested in addressing is the systemic problems that have led to his rise and the ongoing inability to address them. What this case shows us, as well as the media reporting of it, is that the media needs Trump and the Democratic Party needs Donald Trump, precisely because they are unwilling to make the necessary legislative and political changes that would make Trump irrelevant. From the beginning of his rise, Donald Trump has been able to say, this is a corrupt system, I stand between you and them, they don't want me, they want you, and I'm preventing them from getting you. And this rhetoric remains incendiary and effective because no one is willing to make the kind of changes that would make Trump redundant. If you could meaningfully change big pharma prices, I know a bill has been introduced, but I also know that it's ultimately meaningless and doesn't go far enough. If you did not have a Democrat Party that was funded by the military-industrial complex, the financial industry that was in the thrall of Wall Street, then Donald Trump would not be such a powerful and effective opponent. Donald Trump would become cut off at the knees if the Democrat Party, or indeed the Republican Party, or any political movement was interested in and committed to representing the needs and requirements of ordinary working Americans. It's the inability and lack of desire to address this that's led to Trump's rise, and it continues to fuel the Trump phenomena right now, when some people thought, oh, this is over now, this is irrelevant. The fact that he's polling higher than Ron DeSantis, the fact that his arrest is garnering so much attention, shows you that there's still an unaddressed need at the heart of our political systems, that there is a requirement for a new kind of politics. You know me, I don't personally believe that Trump is the answer. I know a lot of you do. But the problem is still not being addressed.